United by their faith in God, humans started coming together and living in big communal aggregations. God made it possible for us to suppress our beastly urges, consolidate power, and foster peace and brotherhood. All in a short span of time when scientific method was still to come 1,000 years later. In short term, God allows us to quickly come up together as species and conquer the earth. It's just that now it has outlived its utility and does a lot more harm than it ever did good. We now understand the world based on science and reason. God and religion have become relics of the past with no credible utility left in the modern era. Now don't lose your shit, hear me out. The classical concept of God as a creator did not exist. The deity was in fact the creation of those worshiping it. Worship of deities continues in some tribes and families even today. The purpose of this worship is to keep the deity pleased because the belief that it can grant benedictions, save from suffering, and punish if displeased. Evolution of religious thought has proceeded along with intellectual development of man and woman. As the mind developed, it looked to higher values and generally aimed at maintaining peace of mind during increasing physical, mental, and social activity. Man also tried to understand the meaning of religious beliefs and question them. There have been enlightened souls of all ages that were able to guide the people. This brought in the concept of gurus, preceptors, and spiritual teachers. As intellect developed, though, and people started getting educated, the teachings were put into writings and scriptures and became the concept that we all now follow today. Now, out of the current organized religions believing in God, Hinduism is the oldest. It has the concept of God, but it has also many demigods and goddesses that are worshipped in temples with their idols installed therein. Up until about 3,500 years ago, a multiplicity of gods and goddesses and spirits and idol worship was very common. The concept of a single God came with the covenant that God allegedly made with Abraham around 2000 BCE. And the first monotheistic religion of the Jews may be said to have been founded. Now let's talk about the Bible. As recorded in the Old Testament, the Jews and Christians acknowledge the whole of the Old Testament as their scripture. The Muslims also acknowledge the first 5 books of the Old Testament credited to Moses and called the Torah. Among other things, the Old Testament describes in the creation of the earth, its sky, and all by creatures by God in 6 days. Then God rested on the 7th day. Now we call it the Sabbath.